So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NTA201. The engineering and construction and real estate industry is standing at a pivotal moment. We are seeing a rapid shift in the industry driven by the advance of the technology, the growth of population, and the urgent requirement of sustainability. For instance, the outlook of the construction output industry is expected to grow by 42% by 2030. Additionally, the world urban population is projected to increase by 2.5 billion people by 2050. With that, it's putting a pressure on the industry to innovate and innovate faster, building more smarter and more sustainable buildings. So I'm here today to talk to you about how AWS can be your partner on this journey. My name is Ahmed Rafat. I'm a principal solution architect on AWS. And I had the privilege to work with some of the leading ECR enterprise organizations like Skanska, to work with them to utilize AWS technology to solve some of their pressing industry challenges. So we'll start by talking about what is the industry trends, then how AWS and what is the solutions that AWS is providing. Then it will be enough from me. Then you hear from the industry expert, from Tom Gold, the Operation Efficiency Director, and Jack Sharp, the Head of Engineering in Skanska, about how they utilize AWS technology to push the boundaries and build a solution, innovative solution like Intellekt platform, which utilize AWS technology. And finally, you will hear from my colleague, John Ashudi, about how you can integrate generative AI with your application to drive a business value for you and for your customer. So let's crack on. First, let's have a look about the industry challenges. As I mentioned at the beginning, we were expecting 68% of the people to leave the city by 2050. That's a huge move from what we see around 30% in the 1950s. So that requires we build more smarter city that can fit our needs. And the second challenge that we see in the organizations that work in ECR industry, that they started to adapt technology, but the adoption was a little bit slow. But now there is many disruptors to this industry. If you think about office provider like WeWork or industry providers in the hotels industry like Airbnb, they're putting a pressure for the other player on the market to innovate faster and build more digital innovative solution. And the third challenge that we see is the lack of or shortage of the number of skilled workers. Actually, 80% of the customers that we speak to them in the industry, they are reporting that they face a challenge with a skilled worker. And that's definitely impacting your delivery time and as well how you are delivered on time to your customer, which is you need to think about innovative solution, building like connected infrastructure and connecting intelligent system for automation. And the fourth point is about supply chain. We all learned that during COVID, that supply chain is very, very critical to ECR industry and other industries as well. But also of the rising of interest rates and inflation rates and global conflict is really impact how you will be able to deliver in time and optimize your costs. And last but not least is sustainability. You maybe know that 40% of the global carbon emission is actually from ECR industry. So we need to act, and we need to act now. So let's have a look a little bit about what is the industry trend that we are seeing that can help to address some of those challenges that we talked about. First is about digital design. Using technologies like digital twin and BIM systems or VDC systems combined by the design automations and the standard component, become the foundation of the modern construction projects nowadays. So solution from AWS, like providing high-performance computing and virtual desktop, is crucial to have more digital solution to be utilized. And the second trend that we see is how you can build more connected solutions and connected construction and site of the supply chain integration. That give you visibility about what's happening, help you to optimize and move faster and deliver on time. And the third industry trend that we hear is the customer experience. We all start from customer. We always in Amazon say that we start from customer, working backward from there. So you need to provide, or using technology to provide more personalized solutions, using maybe technologies like AR and VR to deliver a better customer service for you all clients. So that's what we hear about the challenges and we hear about the trends. So why we are here in Amazon and what's our play on this game? If you think about AWS, for example, we are going through the same pain that maybe some of the ECR providers in the industry going through. I don't know if you know that, but for example, AWS is operating around 38 million square feet. 38 million square feet, and that's only AWS, between our data center, our offices. So we need as well to work and find the solutions, which we're going to talk about, to solve those challenges. And definitely if we include Amazon, that's way, way, way bigger. To able to talk about the solution that we provide, we need to have a look to the whole industry value chain, end to end. So starting from the moment that you think about a new project, or releasing a tender, or RFP, or going and acquire a land, going from how you can design and start building and engineering for this project, going to your delivering on supply chain, and one of the important things, of course, is the operation and maintenance, where our colleagues here from Skanska will talk a lot about that part. And definitely the customer experience. So you need to think about how I can build solutions and how AWS can help me across all this of the value chain. So I put here on the slide some of the solutions that we can provide. So if you think about an investment and development, we can help about building a centralized data lake or a solution where we help you to do like some intelligent document processing to accelerate the process of investment and development. If you think about the designing and engineering, providing high-performance computer, virtual desktop, make your team more your engineer more agile. And we talk about connecting the supply chain, how we can have an end-to-end visibility about what's happening on the supply chain. And then the operation and maintenance about IoT and have the visibility of integration of all of that and customer experience. But one thing that you will notice, that data is the foundation of all of that. Data is taking you across all this value chain, again, from investment until you deliver. So that's why in AWS, we have frameworks, we have a solution, we have services that help you to build those solutions across your value chain. This is from bringing data from your IoT, from your edge location, to understand what's happening, to build a more sustainable solution, have a control of your supply chain, and build more smart buildings. And that is related to having structured, unstructured data. You bring all of this, and you start utilizing this. And I hope you had a chance to listen to the keynote this morning when Matt Garman was talking about the third generation of SageMaker that we have now, the newer version of SageMaker that allow you to have your journey from starting you ingesting data, you cleanse it, you clean it, and then you have machine learning on top of that. We cannot have a session in 2024, reInvent, without talking about generative AI. But we're talking about generative AI because, again, we have in this mind how we can use the technology in the engineering, construction, real estate industry to accelerate our journey and provide a better service for our customers. So I put here a list, and I know it's a busy slide, but maybe you just have a look on that or maybe watch the recording later about how AWS or how even the generative AI can help you across the value chain. And I highlighted a couple of those. So if you think about investment and development, for example, the things related to how you can quickly analyze the document, compare your providers. Like I had one of my customers was like evaluating how they can provide or do an analysis to select the right provider for their investment initially by selecting the more provider that they have a better sustainable solution. So you need to analyze all this document and analyzing them. Then you think about engineering and design. We saw a lot of innovative new models like the Nova that we saw this morning that can also help you to ideate and become more innovative on that. Connecting and operation maintenance, the team will talk about that, and you will see an excited demo from Jonah Shudi about how you can integrate generative AI, specifically on the operation and carbon emissions. And then how you can create a better experience for your customer. As I mentioned, we in AWS, we are not just providing the technology, we also been on this. We have that. We have as well to deliver more sustainable solutions. So we had our commitment to be able to run all our facilities by 100% of renewable energy by 2030. And the good news is, in July early this year, we achieved this 7 years ahead from our target. All Amazon and AWS solutions or operation is running by renewable energy now. And that's why we provide you the technology that allow you to ingest the data that's coming from your data sources, from your sustainable targets as well, and ingesting this data to the BIM, BMS, digital twin, and have a dashboard or a solution that allow you to achieve your goal also. And to bring this to life, I would like to invite Tom Gold from Skanska to talk to you about how they actually build this using AWS technology. Thanks, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen. So firstly, I want to say it's a huge pleasure to be here presenting to you in Las Vegas at this year's reInvent conference. Certainly probably one of the highlights of my career to date. My name is Thomas Gould, and I am the Operational Efficiency Director within our Skanska UK business. I guess in the context of this presentation, though, I'm one of the founding core team members, that has been working on Intellekt since 2020. So we are here today to talk to you about a journey that we've been on in developing our own smart buildings product and service since 2020. But before we get into that, I think it's probably worth me talking a little bit about who Skanska are and what we do. Can I just get a quick show of hands if you've heard of Skanska in the room? It's actually a lot more than what I'd imagined. Great, okay, maybe we'll get through the slides. Brilliant, so more than 135 years Skanska's been in existence, and we are one of the world's leading construction and property development businesses. We build and develop properties and structures within the Nordic region where we were founded, in North America, in the United Kingdom, and within Central Europe. Alongside household names such as IKEA, H&M, Volvo, Spotify, Skanska is a major player in shaping Swedish society, economy, and culture. And actually, we employ around about 10,000 employees in Sweden alone, and 28,000 or so globally. Here in the United States represents our single biggest market, where we have over 30 offices across 28 cities, and we're very well known for building some of the most complex structures, including LaGuardia Airport, I-4 highways, and most recently refurbishing the Empire State Building in New York City, which is where our HQ office exists. Within Central Europe and the UK, we're most known for our significant contributions to focusing on sustainable building practices. We've implemented numerous sustainable innovations across our projects, including renewable energy sources, reducing carbon, and of course, what we're here to talk about today, energy. So we actually began in southern Sweden in 1887 as a concrete maker. And as I mentioned today, we design and build some of the largest, most complex structures on Earth, some of which you can see on the screen in front of you. Our ongoing prioritization to sustainability and social value remains a key success within our business as our customers, investors seek companies like ours to demonstrate that within their work. One project that I personally like on the screen is Powerhouse in Norway. That building creates enough renewable energy to power our London City HQ office, which is pretty fantastic. Buildings, bridges, railways, particle accelerators, we've built just about anything in every kind of place you can imagine in ways that have never been done before. No matter the project, we use all of our knowledge and experience to bring that to our customers in everything that we do. So we knew at Skanska we couldn't stand still. We needed to evolve. So we set up a startup team within a large organization within Skanska UK to look at these needs. We spoke to many customers, and we arrived on needing a product that can improve building performance. So for us, that's around 3 key pillars. The first is carbon. We've just spoke about it, but that's reducing the impact buildings have on the environment around them. Secondly is operational efficiency. Actually, here it's less about the technology and more about how technology can be an enabler for improved performance, increasing the longevity of assets and ensuring that they're performing at their maximum potential during their lifespan. The second aspect of that is efficiency. We still maintain buildings on paper. We still follow a scheduled maintenance plan of when we need to go and check certain assets. Well, we need to move to condition-based or preventative-based maintenance, where our buildings tell us when they need to be maintained. And finally, it's productivity. This is productivity the occupier. People like yourselves here today that occupy buildings want to be within a space where they can feel as productive as possible and ensure that they've got the environment they feel comfortable to work within. And we want to do that all whilst achieving, a reasonable return on investment for our customers. So hopefully that gives you a bit of background about Skanska and who we are, a little bit about the journey of why we started this product development, and I'm going to invite my good friend and colleague Jack to the stage to take you through a little bit how we built it and what it does. Thank you. Well done. Good luck.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real privilege to be here speaking at AWS reInvent. This is a 200-level session, so that means it's my job to take us into some level of detail into our platform, Intellekt. So I'm going to do this by explaining how we built the platform. We're then going to lift the hood on it and show you the AWS services that sit underneath that. And then finally, we're going to give you a demo of the platform. So, as Thomas just explained, we're a construction company. So we realized we needed to find a software development partner. So we started this by going to our enterprise cloud provider. I'll give you a hint, it begins with an M. And we got a list of superstar developers. We ran a really extensive competitive tender, and Prodyna ended up winning that tender and rising to the top. So we partnered with Prodyna, who, as it happened, were a multi-cloud provider. So through a number of discussions and evaluations, it became clear to us that we were going to be better off building this product in AWS for its agility, its competitiveness, and particularly the scalability of AWS IoT Core. I should probably also say that another factor that we evaluated was that AWS really understood our mission and they believed in it. They believed in it enough to offer us funding towards our development. Now, in construction, there's very rarely such a thing as free funding. So we spent about 2 months looking at this offer thinking, what's the catch? Before finally realizing there was none and accepting this partnership with AWS and Prodyna. What I'm showing you on screen is a high-level topology. So at the top here, you've got your web application layer. This is a layer which will look different depending on the user profile you're using. So if you're the asset owner, you own the building, or whether you're an office user, or perhaps part of the maintenance team, you'll be seeing different application, different interface there. Then in the middle, we've got the cloud. On the left, we've got our AWS services, which I'm going to go into in more detail shortly. Then in the middle of the middle box, you've got Airtable. Now we use this tool to map our data across the platform because of its low-code nature. And then on the very right, we've got Autodesk Construction Cloud. So we use this to host all of our BIM models and asset data and pull that through into our platform. I want to draw your attention down to the bottom left here. This is what's really different about an intelligent building. Previously, in a traditional building, your lighting and your building management systems will all be siloed. So the data that sits in these systems do not speak to one another. There's no interoperability there. So what's new about an intelligent building is creating a method which this data can come out to the cloud. We can ingest it there and put automatic algorithms and rules that come right back to the building. So we partnered with a specialist master systems integrator, a company called OneSite, who've enabled us to get that data out of the cloud and bring it back in. So it's something we call bidirectional control, and it's very critical to how we create building performance. So I'm going to say I'm not a software developer, so I have had some help on these slides. And in fact, Dennis Kreutz, if you wouldn't mind putting your hand up, gave me a lot of help here. So if there's anything that I say in the next few minutes which doesn't make any sense, you also now all know who to blame. I'm going to need to take you on a bit of a journey here to try and explain this. So imagine you're a tiny piece of data and you live in the building management system. Previously, that's where you would stay. But with an intelligent building, using a Niagara gateway, we're able to take that data in whatever format that it began life, convert it to a single format and payload, and publish that out to AWS IoT Core. From here, depending on what type of data point you're unpacked in various databases, but the vast majority are time-based data. So they go and sit in AWS IoT time stream. Now, I mentioned bidirectional control, and that's a really key feature that AWS IoT Core lets us deliver. So we can create automations in the cloud that will go back the opposite route and actually change the performance of the building. That's how we create building performance. If we zoom back out and go into sort of the middle right section here, we did the development with Kubernetes, so we've got containerized applications in there. We thought when we were doing these developments, it was really important for us to have the agility to potentially move to other clouds if needed, and that comes from some of our customer requirements that we work with. We've then got other databases, so for your relationship data, we're using Aurora, and then good old S3 for our object storage, so our PDFs, images, video files, etc. I'm not going to dwell for too long on the right here, but we carried out the development with infrastructure as code using Terraform. Again, this gives us an amount of kind of agnostic behavior where we could move to another cloud if our customers demanded it of us. If I zoom back out and come over to the left here, so our users access the platform through CloudFront. It's our content delivery app. At the top here, we've got AWS WAF, so that provides kind of security to some common cyber attacks and puts a layer of it up there. And then what's working really well for us as well is Route 53. So Route 53 enables Skanska IT to own the domain name, but give permissions to our developer partners to maintain and develop it for us. So if I move on now, we're going to run into some of the demo of some of the features of our Intellekt platform. So you log in with a multi-factor authenticator secure sign-on. And the page I want to take you to first is our building analytics. So to get out the blocks on building performance, you first need to know how your building is performing. So we take all of the data that sits in that building and we plot your energy usage, water, gas, initially by system, so you can understand where that energy is being used, whether it's in heating, lighting, hot water, and we can toggle that through and you can see it on a building level. So now our tenants can really see where they're using the most energy, and from this we can start to get some insights of where can we save energy for them. Our customers wanted it in different units, so we've got it in kilograms of carbon as well as pounds. There's some calculations that go on there because depending on when you use your electricity, it will change the tariff that sits behind it. Now, we've just clicked through to the occupancy page. This is a relatively new data set for us in buildings to be able to accurately see the usage of the buildings and how busy it is. It's powerful for us for our automations. So depending on the occupancy of the building, we're able to increase our services, so put more fresh air, turn the hot water up, etc., to save energy. But it also enables data-driven insights. So in our London office, we did we analyzed this data and we were able to see that actually we didn't need an entire floor of our building. So we've been able to sublease that and release a huge amount of value in that building. This is an alerts page. So I've filtered it to CO2 alerts, and you can see there's a few here. So we'll click through, and look at one of these alerts in more detail. And these alerts can email you or notify you on the platform. You can see at the minute, currently there's no issue. It's green, but we've got an alert here for high CO2. On the right, we've got our digital twin. So with the digital twin here, we're able to look to see exactly where that sensor is and how the services to the rooms are put together. So we can understand, where the ventilation is coming from and maybe spot some issues from the services perspective. This is actually our managing director's meeting room. So if I go and pick some dates here, we can see what's the CO2 been like in that room over a period. And you can see fairly repeatedly, we've got issues with high CO2. And we all know that high CO2 will reduce your productiveness and potentially lead to bad decisions. And we can't afford for bad decisions to be made in that room in particular. So it's not good enough for just to say, you've got a problem, let's raise an alert. I talked about bidirectional control. So what we've got here is our rules engine as it's currently configured, which is just saying, hey, there's a problem, go and have a look. But we can do more than that. So we'll just change the description to say, we've noticed you've got a problem, and we've increased the amount of fresh air to that room. So we can flick through, and it's a simple to use interface. The Skanska Intellekt service team can use it for you, and some customers may want to be onboarded to be able to control this themselves. We can go through, pick the dates that this rule lasts and operates on. Then you select your assets, so we're selecting on a fan here that feeds that room, selecting a specific data point and changing what you want it to operate to. So now we're going to turn that fan speed to high. So next time there's high CO2 in the managing director's room, we're going to increase the fan speed and start resolving that automatically. Our building controls page is really an easy to use kind of interface to be able to control your building, either when you're within it or remotely. So this might be tenants using this. They'll go on, select the level and then the room, and then from that, select the asset they want to control. We only display the information that you may want to be changing on this page. So it's only the writable points. It's a really simple, consistent interface that people can go in there and say, this room's too hot, it's too cold, and change it themselves rather than having to raise a ticket or a complaint, which is actually a surprising amount of complaints that you receive in a building. What we're doing here is looking at a light. It's the same sort of scenario. Me personally, I struggle with glare. It gives me a migraine. These lights aren't doing particularly well for me. What we're able to do on this is go through, see on your digital twin, where is that light? And then you can turn it down, turn it off. And it can really help with productivity and making that space better for you. So we're going to go through to our assets page. It's a list of every asset that's in the building, but it's a smart list, right? So you can click through, and once you click through, on the left-hand side here, you've got every single data point that sits on that asset. That's all your readable points and writable points. On the right, we've got our digital twin again, which we've shown you before, but what's really important for Skanska is acknowledging that a digital twin is not just a 3D representation. Digital schematics are really important for us. So this is a 2D drawing with design, flow rates, and pressures that an engineer can look at and say, well, how is it performing, matched to the real-time data on the left. And then from that, you can write back to that asset and create building performance. I picked on this asset for a reason, actually. This asset is in the basement, and it's designed to run 24/7. So it's designed to keep all of the plant rooms and all of the assets within the plant rooms to a set conditions, parameters, so temperature, humidity, etc. But if I load up a data point here, which is effectively whether it's on or off, and then we can zoom in and look at it on a smaller time scale, you'll see it's no longer running 24/7. That's because we've got a rule, which I'll show you shortly behind, but effectively the rule is monitoring all of the assets and the plant rooms and only turning that unit on when something needs conditioning. This is how you create building performance. You're saving a huge amount of energy, which correlates to carbon, and you're also massively extending the life cycle of that asset. It's going to last longer, the filters need to be changed less, the fans are going to last longer. You're creating value for your customers from that perspective. I'm going to quickly show you the rule here, just so you can see what sits behind that. We're able to select all of the different assets that are in the plant rooms and the rooms, and set very simple to use engine to set the temperature points of when the rooms are within their conditions. And then quite simply at the bottom say, well, if they're all in their conditions, then turn the unit off. Quite simple, but very powerful, having these cloud-based automations that can process to your building. Finally, I'm showing you the insights page here. So we wanted a section where we could post content to our customers and keep them engaged in the platform. So we're going to be posting insights from the data that we're looking at, but also innovations. So there's one here about bipolar ionization for air quality, as an example. Now, as a customer, you're looking at this and going, well, ask a question or get a quote, or you can actually click and this is loading your S3 content and saying, well, let's look at the detailed information behind it. Here, an example is an energy benchmark proposal. If we're going to improve building performance for our customers, it's very key that we have a benchmark to say how their building was performing, and we get that agreed, and that's what we work to improve on. So whilst I talk about improving building performance, I'll hand you back over to Tom, who's going to dive through the platform at 51 Moorgate, our head office. Thank you.
Microphone working? Maybe not. Now it is. Excellent. So well done, Jack. That was fantastic in taking everybody through the platform. And hopefully you feel that you've been educated around what we can offer our customers there. I just wanted to talk about our customers and what the positive outcomes of having a smart building can be. So within our 51 Moorgate office in London City, we've seen some fantastic improvements. To begin with, we've saved over 35% in energy reduction, which is quite incredible. If you correlate that to CO2, that's around about 29 tons, which is around about 1,200 trees that we've saved there. So it's been fantastic. In terms of FM, we've been focusing more on efficiency than savings. And here we've seen 10% efficiency. That number might not seem very big, but actually we're only just scratching the surface there. We've been able to reduce the amount we need to go and service our assets, and in doing so, have increased the longevity, but reduced the contract price that we need there to be able to service them. In addition to that, we're now able to maintain buildings remotely. So a lot of what Jack's shown you today means that we can log into buildings through our desktop, and we can service multiple sites at once. And finally, we're looking at improved productivity of the occupier. Now, we haven't got any figures on this yet because it's very difficult to actually work out. But we're looking to see what impact we can do in terms of reducing absenteeism, improving the productivity of users within the space, which we think will have a real positive impact on our customers' bottom line. So why do we care about all of this? And I'm hoping to get a little bit of interaction from the room now. So I'm going to press the clicker, and 4 key figures are going to come up on the screen. I'd like maybe just, if someone wants to shout out what you think they might mean. So the first is 90%. Does anyone have an idea of what that 90% may mean? Anybody? Come on. Confidence. Okay. We spend 90% of our time indoors. So we need to focus on having smarter buildings, buildings that impact the environment less than what they do so today. The next is 40%, and I'm not going to ask anybody to shout on this one because I didn't get a great uptake on the first. But 40%, we've already heard it today through Ahmed. The built environment contributes 40% of the global's carbon emissions. We have to do something about that. And technology, and what you've seen today, is going to give us a big upper hand on trying to reduce that number down as we move forward. The next is 200%. Would you believe that buildings perform 200% worse than what they were designed to perform? That's just crazy. You wouldn't accept that in any other industry. But within construction, that is reality, and that shouldn't be happening. And of course, we've all got ambitions to be carbon net zero. Skanska aiming to be carbon net zero by 2040, including our supply chain. And we think we cannot achieve that unless we have technology like you've seen today with Intellekt. So before I hand over to John, who's going to come on in a moment, I just thought I'd give you a few moments on what we think is coming next. Intellekt's proved to us that we can, as a construction company, exploit technology to help us. And we've done that within the operational phase of the asset. Next, we want to take that foundation of what you've seen today and move to the construction phase, where we monitor plant, people, and material. So understand, are our cranes doing as much work as they possibly could be? Are our people working in the right space on a construction site? Are they going to embark on any health and safety issue? And finally, if I intend to install 10 steel beams today, did we install 10 steel beams? So this is what we'll be focusing on within the next 3 years within Skanska. And of course, as Ahmed already mentioned today, we cannot go within a 2024 conference at AWS reInvent without mentioning generative AI. So at that point, I'm going to call John onto stage. He's going to take you through that and give you a demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. I'm John Ashodi, and I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here at AWS. And I work closely with the Skanska team and Pradina, who built the Intellekt application. Today, I'll be illustrating how the Intellekt application can be augmented with generative AI applications and how this is actually achieved on AWS. I'll then wrap up the session with a short demo and provide you with some call to actions that you can take home with you tonight. Does that sound good? A few waves in the corner, in the crowd? Good, fantastic. Well, it's fair to say that many of our customers acknowledge the power of generative AI. And it's also safe to say that some of these customers are comfortable with outlining generative AI vision for their organizations. But what we found is with a lot of the customers that we speak to is most of them focus on the power of the foundational model, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The true value of generative AI actually lies in the data that feeds it. And for customers like yourself to have a competitive advantage, you need to feed that foundational model with new and fresh data to move it from its initial predefined knowledge. Now, this is where the Internet of Things plays a pivotal role in unlocking the full potential of generative AI. Now, I'm going to go through some use cases in the industry where our customers have leveraged the combination of IoT data and generative AI in the engineering, construction, and real estate industry. Well, generative AI is helping urban planners to create innovative and optimized designs. Taking into consideration parameters such as site constraints, building codes, and project objectives, generative AI can quickly create multiple designs from which the urban planners can choose the most efficient one. Foundational models can also analyze historical data and project parameters to generate a new schedule. By considering factors such as labor, equipment availability, and weather conditions, generative AI can quickly generate realistic project timelines from which the project manager can use to reduce costs and time overruns on their project. And finally, with interactive trend analysis, generative AI is allowing our customers to empower their employees to use generative AI to analyze IoT data using natural language. And this is allowing our customers to determine the efficiency of their buildings using real data in real time. Now, I'd like to explore the interactive trend analysis use case on the Intellekt platform itself, focusing on two main personas, a buildings manager and a data analyst. But before we do that, this is a simplified version of the Intellekt architecture. The data that we use for the foundational models have to be stored in the right data source so that they could be used as part of the knowledge base for the foundational model. So as you can see on the left there, you can see the data coming in through the IoT devices on the left, through into AWS Core over MQTT protocol. As that data arrives in AWS IoT Core, there's a rule that stores it in Amazon Timestream. Amazon Timestream is our time series database. As that data arrives in Amazon Timestream, it's then converted by our serverless extract, transform, and load service called AWS Glue. That transforms the IoT telemetry and stores it in a simple storage bucket. As well as the IoT telemetry that's stored in that bucket, we also have other documents such as device manuals and an indoor air quality document that's been written by Skanska. Now, all of those documents are then converted into what we call a vector embedding and can be stored in one of our vector-based databases such as Amazon OpenSearch. So now we have the data in the format that we want it. Let's dive deep into those use cases. So in the first use case where we have a buildings manager using a virtual assistant, we achieve this using an Amazon Bedrock agent. An Amazon Bedrock agent allows you to configure and build autonomous agents inside of your application. But what it does is it goes outside the standard realm of generative AI where you just create new content. It actually allows you to execute tasks like calling external APIs to get data from a third-party system. Now, as you can see from the diagram, the buildings manager interacts with the Amazon Bedrock agent in one of two ways. So if the buildings manager, for instance, wants to find out what the acceptable CO2 thresholds are, the Bedrock agent knows to go directly to the knowledge base to get that data. However, if the buildings manager wants to find out what the CO2 levels are in a room or retrieve some IoT data, the agent knows to use the action group and call an API to get data from a backend database such as Amazon DynamoDB, which is our serverless NoSQL database. And just to bring this to life, I'd like to show you a demo of this. Right, so what you have here is the buildings manager asking quite a general question, like what is good indoor air quality? Now the Bedrock agent knows to go to the knowledge base to get that information. So once it's submitted, it comes back with information about the acceptable thresholds for CO2, ozone, and particulate matter. Now, the buildings manager is going to ask a more specific question, but he's going to ask the agent, what is my air quality? But the virtual assistant is not a magician, so it's going to have to find out what part of the building the buildings manager is in. So it then asks, what room are you asking about? Now, the buildings manager has to provide the meeting room that they're in. Once they provide that meeting room, the agent has been configured not to give unnecessary information. So it then asks the building manager, once that question has been submitted, do you want detailed information about the reading from that room? And when the buildings manager says yes, what the autonomous agent then does is it calls the action group, which calls an API in the back end and extracts that data from a database, as you can see on the screen. Finally, the buildings manager asks, how can I improve the air quality using bipolar ionization? Now, Skanska has written a document on how to do this. So once that question is submitted to the agent, it knows to go directly to the knowledge base, gets that information, and displays it on the screen, as you can see. Buildings manager is happy. He ends the session with the virtual assistant. Okay. Now, on the second persona, where we have a data analyst using business intelligence, we achieve this using Amazon Queuing QuickSight. Amazon Queuing QuickSight's generative BI capabilities allow business users to discover and share actionable insights within seconds. So as you can see from the diagram, the data comes in through the edge into a time stream database, transformed by AWS Glue, and is stored in that S3 bucket. Now, the S3 bucket serves as a source to Amazon QuickSight, which is our serverless business intelligence service. However, the data analyst can interact with that data through the capabilities of Amazon Q in QuickSight, and I'd like to demonstrate that as well. Right, so the data analyst is going to create a new analysis using the data in the S3 bucket, and that's going to come up now. So that Intellekt IoT telemetry is in the S3 bucket. And he's going to go ahead and create a few charts. So the first thing he's going to do is, using natural language, is going to ask you to create a chart of the carbon dioxide usage per day per each space. Q provides some data, and then the analyst converts that data into a line chart, as you can see there, and adds it to the analysis. Now, the next thing they want to do is pick a specific room, and then forecast the CO2 usage in that room. So he's going to create a similar charts using the same natural language. And when the chart's created, what he's then going to do is going to use the forecasting capability of Amazon Q in QuickSight. So as you can see here, the forecast button is toggled, and what it does is it creates a 14-day forecast of the CO2 emissions for that specific room. Now, we're going to look at temperature. So the data analyst is going to ask for a chart, create a chart for the average temperature usage in the building. That's going to create a pie chart within seconds. Analyst is happy, they add that to their analysis. And then finally, we're going to create one on humidity for a specific room in the building, meeting room 0101. It creates a line chart. It's like, not happy with that, I want to change that. So he changes it in seconds to a donut chart, which is fine, and he adds it to its analysis. But one of the cool things you can do with Amazon in QuickSight is you can change the chart within seconds. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click on Edit with QuickSight and change to a heat map. And within seconds, that chart is then automatically changed into a heat map for you. So now, got all the charts that I need to create. We need to make that available to our staff, so that's going to be published. Right, we're publishing that, but what you might want to do is actually create an executive summary for, say, your chief data officer. So once that dashboard has been created, what we're going to do is we're going to go to create a data story. We click on data stories, and then in natural language, we ask Amazon Q to create an executive summary. So what the analyst is going to do here is say, create a story of carbon dioxide or average carbon dioxide in the buildings or different parts of the building. And just with that simple natural language, you select all the visuals that you want to be part of that report, and you click on build, and within seconds, it generates a report for you, which has an introduction, detailed explanation of all of the charts that you selected, and it provides insights and recommendations on how you can reduce your CO2 emissions in your room, and a conclusion. And then finally, you can share that with somebody within seconds by providing an email address. And the analyst is done. Right, I mentioned earlier when I started that I was going to provide you with some call to actions to take home with you tonight, and because I'm a man of my word, here they are. So if you're sat in the crowd and you're interested in what AWS is doing in the ECR industry, scan the first QR code to get some more information about what we're doing. Now you heard and you saw from Jack's demo everything that Intellekt is capable of doing. And if you're looking to reduce the carbon emissions or create a better efficiency of your buildings, scan the QR code and get in touch with the Intellekt team. Now, if you're a keen Gen AI developer and you want to create a virtual assistant like the one that you saw earlier on, scan the final QR code and get started. Now, I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for your time. You've been a great audience. Please make sure that you fill out the survey on the app, and we hope that you've enjoyed your time. Enjoy the rest of your time in Vegas, and let's go build. Thank you very much.